Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Civil Gore Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian, and this is a momentous episode. This is I'm recording for the first time ever in where we're gonna our new place. So it's much better internet here. Number one. So Tim has already said he sees like a difference in everything. So hopefully that'll help us not get any weird like lags and over talking each other and delays and everything. And it's brighter. It seems like in
It's
here.
brighter. Brian's
So
showing it like 4K high def now.
yeah, it's
It's
weird, right?
crazy. Yeah, and
But,
this is a very special episode because we are halfway to 666
yeah,
Civil Gore episodes, number 333, and we're doing part 3 of our Children of the Corn retrospective. So everything aligned. I think the numbers aligned for a great show
and
today.
there's even a movie in this batch that is 666,
Yes. Oh my
which is
gosh.
very yeah, and also it's big because as you'll see as we discuss and we go near the we go to the end of the episode, that, like, our rankings are starting to finally diverge a bit,
Yeah, which
and
I'm
some
not
significantly, so
they are, but I'm not locked in yet. I'm still very, very fluid. These
yeah,
could
like, oh,
change
yeah,
to the
no, I think we'll need to see the next 2 episodes,
yeah.
the next 2, movies and really see where we go from there, so,
And to be quite honest, if I had enough time, I would like to watch all of these repeatedly. And that would I
yeah.
think that would help if I could watch at least twice each one. But with all the summer Slaycation titles we have to go through, it's not feasible. But
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if I'd watch these all twice, I might have a different idea. But we have to go with our first impression. So,
Yes.
um, but yeah, this week we are covering the next 3 in the series. Children of the Corn 5, Fields of Terror, Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return, and Children of the Corn Revelation. So we will get right into that with as we left off last week. Remember, we left off with Children of the Corn 4, The Gathering, which was the Naomi Watts vehicle.
Yeah.
We both kind of thought that one was a little dull. On other rankings, I've seen that one ranked higher than I had it ranked.
Yeah.
But I think it was the Naomi Watts factor more than anything. But we'll see how the rankings change with these next 3 because I think we're going downhill. I think we're
Yeah,
steadily going downhill.
but mine it's funny, technically, if you look at it, mine kind of my spot for gathering kinda moved up a little bit. If
Yeah.
you
Oh,
look,
actually, we have
it
yeah,
lines up with you, but there's other ones that I put ahead, and the other ones drop down a little bit, so
yeah.
it's interesting. The
We'll
first
cover
3, I
that.
think,
Yeah.
we'll have are locked where they are, I think, though. 1, 2,
I
3, I
don't.
think I can't see
Yeah.
those moving,
I don't think those are
but
going to move. And then when I look at other rankings, which I don't let. By the way, guys, I will go out to look at other rankings just for fun, but I don't let other people's rankings influence my rankings. I'm very strict about making sure that
yeah.
I don't let other things influence it. I just get curious as to what other people thought of different movies. And
Yeah, and honestly, I think with rankings, like, some people like say, "Oh, why would you rank that there?" I think as long you should be able to rank whatever you want, number 1, but 2, as long
right,
as I think you stay consistent and you have your own ranking rules. Like you
right.
don't like move something for just some weird reason.
And I've got a method to my madness as to why I rank mine that way, and I can defend it for every single movie. And I think as long as you're consistent with that, but if you're like, I hated this movie because it's bad acting, but I hated this movie because it was boring, and you're not, and you're going jumping all over the place, but I'm going to rank this one number 2 because it had this actor that I liked but the rest of the movie
Yeah.
sucked. I mean, there's got to be some kind of internal logic to it, just like those rules of a movie. When you're watching a movie, it doesn't have to make sense in real life, but it has to make sense in the rules of the movie universe. And I think that's what you have to do with the rankings. That's how
Yeah,
we've always approached it.
right, and we kinda and I have that one rule that I stick with where it's like automatically the original is usually gonna stay in the one spot and it's up to the other movies to knock it out. Just because
Yeah,
obviously if you don't have that original, you don't have these sequels, so that kinda has to give it some sort of, for lack of a better word, what's the word I'm looking for? Not immunity, but like some kinda like
It's almost
extra,
like it's
like
it's like almost like it's weighted, like, there's a weighted ranking to it
that's
where
it, a
it's a
handicap.
little
It's got
extra
its own yeah,
handicap. Yeah, there you
it's
go.
got, like, a handicap to where like, a golfer, but, like, where it's, like but in a good way, where it's, like, it kinda locks itself into the front spot. Basically, it has that, like, that right like, the advantage there, and it gives it that special, like, privilege. That was the word I was looking for. It
The
gives it a
privilege, yeah.
privilege of being able to be in that first spot, and
It's
then
like
from there
a 1 seed in a tournament. They get
right,
the 1 seed, but they can be knocked out. It doesn't mean they're gonna win the tournament, but they get the advantage, and then it's up for the other teams to knock them off of the pedestal. Yeah,
exactly.
makes
Now
sense.
to
Yeah.
explain that for probably longer than I needed to,
Everybody here's
but
like, "Yeah, we got your
yeah,
point about
we
5
got
minutes
it.
ago."
Yes, you say this every Slaycation, we got it, but okay. Well, there's some new listeners every once in a while, we may get a new
Oh, yeah,
listener or 2, you
that's
know?
right, yeah.
And you know what
Um,
I thought of about that with new listeners too? You know how we always say, "Oh, in case we have any new listeners?" I bet you we get a lot more of the new listeners than we think for at least, like, every episode, for the sheer fact that, like, a lot of places will send us screeners or send us opportunities, and I'm sure
right,
when we reply, they listen at least to the latest episodes to kinda what we're about.
right,
So
yeah.
and that's probably for every podcast, honestly. Whenever you get any kind of offer or you show or even if you get one of those, like I mean, probably not as much as those generic ones like, "Hi, do you wanna monetize your podcast? I can give you 50,000 listeners," and it's like some generic name
Yeah,
that you've never heard of. Like, something like that, yeah, they probably don't listen. They probably just send out a million of those. If you have, like, podcasts in
spam
your
things,
email, it
yeah.
probably comes off some database. But I'm talking about those other places. Like, we get a lot of, like, a couple of, like, every so often, I say, like, once a week, I feel like we get a new person that sends us something like, "Hey, here's a new press release," and I'm like, "Oh, I bet you they listen to us just in case we reply to this because they don't wanna just what if we're a bunch of crazy peop I mean, we are, but you know what I mean. What if we're really terrible, you know?
I
Which
would
I hope
have
no
to
one thinks.
imagine they have to at least, like, skim a few episodes to make sure we're not just
Yeah,
completely racist or
yeah.
or
I mean,
crazy
there's
or, you
gotta be
know, whatever. Yeah,
some sort of
there's gotta be
vetting
something.
process. Yeah,
Some
there's gotta be a
vetting
s
process, yeah.
yeah, something, but, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into the next batch of films, which I mean, we'll do the housekeeping first, but I could already this one started off, I was like, "Oh boy, we're really
Well, yeah,
starting to decline now with this one," but I don't know, maybe you don't
this was
feel
so funny
that way.
when I was watching it, I was like, "Man, I thought 4 was bad. We just fell off a cliff." This is, Children of the Corn 5: Fields of Terror, 1998, directed by Ethan Wiley, starring Stacy Galena as Allison, Alexis Arquette as Greg, Eva Mendes as Kier, Greg Vaughn as Tyrus, Angela Jones as Charlotte, Ahmet Zappa as Lazio, Fred Williamson as Sheriff Skaggs, Davino Bozada as Jacob, Olivia Burnett as Lily, Adam Wiley as Ezekiel, David Carradine as Luke, Aaron Jackson as Zane, Matthew Tate as Jared, and Kane Hodder as the bartender, which is
Yeah, I
probably
had
the
to go
highlight
all
of this
the way
entire
to
movie.
yeah, I had to go there until we got to Kane Hodder, and they
Yeah.
just listed him too far down, but, this
So the
one definitely
synopsis.
has the star power, which is weird. I
Yeah. The I'll read the synopsis real quick. So, 6 college students on a road trip take a wrong turn and end up trapped in a strangely deserted rural town inhabited by a murderous cult of children. Now, I will say, when this first started, I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here. This is going to be like a traditional slasher. Like the group of teens come to the town, they started getting off one by one. I was like, I could get on board with that. Like I could see that working in the concept. It just happens to be set in the Children of the Corn environment, but it's just a typical slasher movie. Unfortunately, this movie, it's rare that I really pick on scripts. I mean, there's times I pick on scripts, but it's rare that it's so obvious to me. Like, the dialogue in this movie was horrendous and the acting was bad. And
yeah.
it was more noticeable than it normally is for a bad movie. If that makes any sense. Like, I'm used to watching a lot of bad movies and I can tend to gloss over a lot of script problems and a lot of acting problems. But in this one I couldn't ignore it. It was so bad. Like, it was like standing out to me.
It didn't like, nothing like and it's like you got a group of people that, it's this is one of those ones where the was it the sum of all parts or something, that whole thing,
Yeah,
where it's like there's a
yeah.
lot of good people in this, they just don't all blend together, and this movie just like, I felt like and this will be weird because for the same reason later on, I have a reverse criticism, reverse, like, thing of this that makes it a positive, but in this, it just seemed like it was all over the place. And
It
it
was,
like,
and
what was it?
you see that if you look at reviews of this movie, that's a common complaint is because it's literally all like I could not understand what the hell was going on in this movie. Like it jumped over and over and over.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's same. It really was. It was all over, and it was like it made it like I and another character seemed to be like there was I think like the Alexis Arquette character just disappears for a while, and it's like
Yeah,
I kind of like, and it's kind of like hard for me to remember all the things that went on in this movie. It was so
it was
erratic.
very scattershot. Yeah, and if you it's only got a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm.
It's routinely put at the bottom of the list of the Children of the Corn movies. I will say, to be fair, I didn't find it as boring as some of the entries, which we'll get into later. And maybe it was because I was constantly trying to figure out what was going on, or maybe it's because it just kind of had a little bit of that slasher vibe. I didn't feel as bored with this one, which kind of would ordinarily make me rank it a little higher. But I just couldn't because I remember when watching it how bad the dialogue was, how bad the acting was. And I just remember thinking, this is terrible. This is terrible. I think when I removed myself from it, I looked back on it more fondly than I should have, but I was trying to make a note while I was watching that this is not good. So I'm keeping it near the bottom of my rankings because I do remember telling myself that do not misremember how bad this movie is. So yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. Children of the
Yeah,
Corn 5 Fields of Terror. And it's unfortunate because it had the potential. If they had just gone, I honestly think if they just gone the slasher route and just had everybody get picked off one by one by these kids, I think it would have been a much better movie, ironically.
yeah. I mean, I think, and it feels like they like intentionally went out of the way to try and make it not that, and then it ended up being its part of its downfall.
Which is stupid because that's how they set it up. Like the
Yeah,
whole start of the movie leads you to believe that's exactly what it's going to be. And I don't think that would have been that. I mean, this is the fifth entry in the series. I'm not expecting high art here. If you would just
yeah,
give me some good kills and the people get picked off one by one, and this turns into just a slasher in a cornfield, I might have liked it. You know, it's not. It wouldn't have been that bad. But they're trying to put all this. They're trying to insert all this lore into it that I don't know that it needs. Like this is, the first original film set and the short story. That's all the lore you need, really. I mean,
yeah,
that's all you need. You don't have to go into this crazy, explanation for everything. And I think that's where they failed. I think it just got so confusing and so crazy. And I don't know. Ethan Wiley wrote it and directed it, so I don't know. Maybe his vision was a lot more complicated and he just couldn't get that on the screen like he needed to. There's also
yeah.
there's some bad effects in this. It's like, oh man.
Plus
Like
his
the
little
ending.
brother is in it. He's the little kid, like the
Yeah.
evil kid in it, so
The ending was like the ending cracked me up. Like the baby with there's a
yeah.
baby with fire coming out of its eyes. Like it's just so bad. It's so bad. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
this one there was some wait, I had a note on this one. Where was it?
I forgot to
Oh,
look
yeah,
at the
like, in the
trivia for this
beginning,
one.
there was, like, force lightning involved in it, it's
Yeah.
like, there's just weird stuff in this, and, the fact that a David Carradine in it, you figured, "Oh, that's a cool, like, addition to this," and he didn't even do enough
Yeah.
to make himself. Although, I did like the death between him and the cop, that one part was cool. That there's a lot of
Yeah.
carnage in this still that made it,
Okay, listen to
saved
this.
some of it.
Okay, this is from Eva Mendes, who played Kier. This is from the trivia. I'm reading this verbatim. It says her first film role, and after watching it, she disliked her performance so much that she hired an acting coach. Mendes told the Toronto Sun, "When I saw it, I thought it was so bad. I thought I was so bad. I was so ashamed. With that movie, obviously, you could only do so much, but I thought if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I don't want to have to squirm when I see myself." So even she thought she was bad in this.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's weird how young she looked in it too. It's like, and
yeah,
it's weird too because it's weird. I know, and not to sound like insensitive in any way, but it was weird seeing Alexis Arquette like with like facial hair and like before. I'm used to seeing how like later on, like how
yeah, yeah,
like in what was the Adam Sandler one, Wedding Singer, and stuff like that. Like
yeah,
that's like
yeah.
that. That's what I remember. So it's kind of I didn't almost didn't recognize Alexis Arquette yet, but. Eh. But That's the thing is that, like, not like, that acting wasn't bad in any of the main group. I mean, I didn't think Eva Mendes was that bad. I just thought, she did what she had, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
but, I don't know. I will say though that the as I like to call it, the Isaac proxy, because there's always an Isaac
yeah.
proxy in these movies. He was a mean little kid though. Like, that kid wasn't bad
Not creepy,
as
but
a
mean. I won't
yeah,
say
he was like just a
creepy.
yeah, no, he's not creepy. He's just like a little brat. Like, like that's what he was, like an evil little brat.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So next up, this is the one I was probably looking forward to the most because I'm such a fan of the Isaac character, and that is
yeah,
Children of
me
the
too.
Corn 666 Isaac's Return. This came out in 1999. I think at this point, after five, reached this like bottom of the barrel. They felt like, okay, we got to like reboot this thing and bring back something from the original. And obviously, who better to bring back than Isaac, who is like
Yeah.
one of the most,
Yeah.
I would argue, is one of the most iconic horror movie presences. Like if you go, I mean, obviously get away from Leatherface and Jason and Michael and
Yeah,
all those,
yeah.
but in like a second tier of like great horror movie villains, Isaac's got to be right up there. He was so creepy. So they bring him back. Of course, this is 15 years later. He's much older now, right? But he's going to come back in this one, and it's going to star. First, it was directed by new director Carrie Scogland, starring Natalie Ramsey as Hannah Martin, Gary Bullock as Zachariah, who is also a returning actor, Alex Karamzay as Cora, Stacy Keach, which I love,
Yeah.
as Doc Michaels, John Franklin as Isaac, William Prale as Jake, Paul Popovich as Gabriel, Sidney Bennett as Morgan, John Patrick White as Matt, Nathan Bexon as Jesse, and Nancy Allen as Rachel. With Nancy Allen, of course, a big
Yeah.
for horror fans, a big get. And the synopsis here is: as a teenage girl comes to Gatlin to find her biological mother, the town's infamous cult plots a comeback as their leader Isaac awakens from a coma. So we find out Isaac was in a coma this whole time. He's not dead, and I will have to say, I may have to bump this one up in the rankings because I forgot this was the Stacy Keach one. And I really liked him in this. I thought he was great in
Yeah.
this. And I like him in every movie, but I just thought he was good in this. And I might have to bump this one up now because then I remember, because I was like, which is this freaking Stacy Keach one? I kind of like that part. And I somehow separated it from the rest of the Isaac stuff. But yeah, this one, oh man, I had this one a lot lower on my list than I expected. I thought this one was going to probably be behind like number 2 because I thought like Isaac's Return was going to be that much creepier and stuff. But I'm going to be quite honest. Aside from Stacy Keach, this one kind of bored me. And as I was kind of alluding to Brian before we started recording, I have this thing, and this is a part of my ranking process. If a movie bores me, it it can hurt it worse than a bad script. It can hurt it worse than bad acting. It can hurt it worse than bad effects. Like to me, the ultimate sin of a movie is that I'm bored. That's the ultimate sin it can commit. And if I'm bored, it drops in the rankings really quick. And for some reason, I couldn't get into this one. Like it just bored me. The only times I actually felt like I was interested in it was when Isaac was on the screen. But he doesn't, I don't know. I don't know that he was really as compelling as I thought he would be in this. I don't know. You might think differently, Brian.
Yeah,
I
no,
was a little disappointed.
so I really liked it, though overall, but I mean, I definitely see your point, but I don't know if I found it boring per se, but I do have a lot of questions in this one, and I probably shouldn't ask these questions based off of how, these movies go here, but why, like who put him in the hospital? Like from the beginning, like there was no town left. Who came and put him in the hospital, right?
Yeah, I
All
mean,
the adults were dead.
this is a ton of plot holes in this movie. I mean, I guess you could argue that somebody came across him or some, who knows, but
I guess, but
it,
they implied it was still in Gatlin, right, where this was going on?
yeah, yeah,
So, like, why like, why that? And who also is paying his medical bills? I mean, yes, there's the
the
doctor, I
state, I
assume.
guess.
I guess,
Big
but, like, I
corn.
mean yeah, I guess Big Corn is, like, behind it all. But, like, there's also okay, granted, and behind is, behind it all, there's, like, a motel in town, so there's some sort of commerce now back there, but, like,
I mean,
it's
it was
just
15
weird.
years later.
It
They may
is.
have rebuilt, to be
So they built
fair.
a weird motel that doesn't charge people and just gives it like, you can check
Yeah.
out when they want. It's very bizarre. But, like, overall, I guess that, like, it did play well for the creepiness of that hospital, you know? I guess and I guess maybe as it goes on, they kind of explain a little bit of things, how they were literally just waiting for this girl to come back. She was like the prophecy. They leaned heavy on the prophecy again
Yeah,
element,
yeah.
that the other one may have. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if the other one before it was trying to put, Fields of Terror was trying to add the prophecy in it. I mean, because like, always the he who, walks behind the rose is always mentioned at some point, but
And to
it's
be fair, this one is most closely ties back to the first 2 movies, like,
right.
in
You
terms
could
of,
pretty
like
much you could go from 1 to 2 to 3. It's almost like it reminds me a lot of the way Halloween did it, kinda how where they went by 1 they went 1, 2, and then they kinda jumped back. Like, the 3 was, obviously with Season of the Witch, had
yeah.
nothing to do with it. Then 4 went back to the original, and then later on, like, H2O kinda went back to the it's like it's how they keep trying to tie them all together, but, like, honestly, if you wanna do, like, a cornerverse, you could probably go 1 to this one, or you could do 1, 2 to this one. You could even possibly do 1, 2, 3 to this one, and it still
Yeah.
makes sense. But it's like, I guess it's how you wanna. I'd love to, like, I don't know, is there someone that represents as, like, is there a gatekeeper for this whole franchise that can, like, say, like a franchise historian that could say, like, "Okay, well, here, this is the proper order." Like, I don't think there's enough because I think those they were just making these movies so fast at one point, like, probably, like, nobody thought to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. At least I will say this, when I'm looking back at it now, like, I'm remembering it now, I'm remembering it a little more fondly than when I ranked it, because I did like the fact that they brought Isaac back. And I liked the
Yeah.
lead characters, like, I did not like the lead girl. Um, I liked Stacy Keach's character of the doc. So the guy's sunglasses in this movie just crack me up.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
the
yeah.
most 90s. They're the most 1999 sunglasses you've ever seen outside of the
Mhm.
Matrix. Like, I think they
Yeah.
literally I remember the Matrix sunglasses that and they but these are like badly fitted ones on this guy. It was cracking me up every time he put those sunglasses on. But
Yeah,
anyway,
this movie did some weird, I felt like the one problem with it is, like, overall, I love the fact that they brought Isaac back, but I don't think they I think they didn't lean on it enough. At first thought, you may think they do, but then I realized, I mean, they waste 5 minutes with, like, where the movie becomes, like, The Cord and the Furious, where there's this weird, like, car chase sequence
no,
in the middle
he's
of
underutilized.
it's
He's
yeah,
underutilized in this. He is. There's no
you know
doubt.
what?
I mean, I remember thinking
Yeah.
that one. Yeah,
Like,
he was
do you
definitely.
think they, do you think that part of his agreement is like, "Okay, you can only appear," but then, like, or the end, they tried to shove him in, and it didn't, like, fit, like, it was a little off, you know?
Yeah, like, he spends the whole most of the movie in the hospital bed, like,
Yeah.
and then he slowly starts and then, like, the end, it's, like, all Isaac. It's like, he had to film all his scenes and, like, "Today, we got we gotta get all the shots in today, guys."
Yeah, but it,
Uh,
like, took the impact of his return away, kind of.
yeah, it's just well, it's another one like, this one to me, it was all over the place too, like, I didn't understand what was going on, like, the plot was all over the place. Um, I don't know, it was I think the movie suffered from my expectations more than maybe it deserved in terms of the movie. Although because typically when I see this one ranked, it's kind of in the middle, somewhere in the middle. It's not at the bottom, it's not at the top, it's somewhere in the middle to lower
See,
middle.
right now, that's where mine is because it's at 4, and because of, I think, just the fact that it leaned back to the character, it almost kind of piggybacks onto my rule of number 1 in the movie, where it's like, okay, you're gonna link that strong to the first movie and get back to that, it kind of jumps up a little bit. Now,
Yeah,
it's still
I can.
I had to be I had to critique it carefully, and it still didn't beat 2 and 3, or 3 and 2, if you
No,
wanna go in
definitely
my
not. It's
order.
nowhere near 2 and 3.
So,
Nowhere
but
near.
it, like, that's why I kinda put it at 4 right now. Now that could change as we see the other ones, and then sometimes, after a couple days back, you're like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe this doesn't deserve to be this high," kind of a thing. And
I don't
so,
know.
but I don't know. Right now it's at 4 for me because I was just so glad to see him back, and it kind of like, okay, thank God you're kinda getting to the original's roots again a little bit, but
Yeah, see, right now I've got it at number 7. I could
yeah,
maybe see bumping it up a slot. I might put it at number 6, which would be appropriate for the 6th movie. But we'll have to see. I'm not gonna change it yet. I'm still going with my gut, but I think this is out of all the ones so far, I think this one has the most potential to move up. Only because
yeah,
it does return Isaac, which is the definitive, let's face it, the definitive Children of the Corn character.
right.
Um, and at least he's back in it. And that does, like, I think you're right, Brian. That does deserve, even if he's underutilized in this, I think it does deserve a little bit more privilege for the fact
Yeah.
that it brings back a returning character. So
I will say
yeah.
though, it's not gonna get higher than 4 for me because it's not gonna ever beat 1, 2, and 3. It's not gonna, so it's
No,
as
no.
close as it can be, and yeah, and I mean, I could possibly see maybe if for some crazy reason these last 2, or that one of them is like this gem, it could possibly push that to push it back down 1 to 5, but we'll see. I
I
don't
just
expect it to.
I couldn't put it over the remake though. Like the 2009 remake is so close to the short story. Even though I didn't really care for the movie, it at least was faithful to the story. And it, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
That's
didn't read the
tough.
short story, so I don't have that connection to it, so I couldn't,
And can I really put it over 2020, which was at least modern? And I don't know. This one's gonna be tough.
I just
Rankings gonna
I
be
don't know,
tough.
the
Yeah,
2021 just bothered me too much for it to
yeah.
be
There's a lot too
to
much
go
big
up anyhow.
corn, man. Too much big corn.
Yeah, the big corn element, while like, it provided good humor for us to bring that in, to bring big corn in, I don't think it made sense to actually be, to make
No,
it a good movie nevertheless. But anyway,
yeah,
this is the one I'm interested in because this is the one where we both, like,
man. We
I
differed on this one.
by a lot, but and I know you'll have your defense of it, and I'll have my defense of what I liked about it. But,
Yeah. So the
but
next one up, we'll go
I
through the
guess we'll go,
housekeeping.
yeah, yeah,
Children of the Corn Revelation. This is the last one that was made within like a 2 or 3 year time span of the previous one, because after this one we get a big jump up to 2011. So we have a decade gap before we get another
yeah.
Children of the Corn movie. This one kind of killed the franchise for a little while. Children of the Corn Revelation came out in 2001, directed by Guy Magar,
I don't,
starring Claudette Mink as Jamie, Kyle Cassie as Armbrister, Michael Ironside as the priest, Troy York as Jerry, Michael J. Rogers as Stan, Sean Smith as boy preacher Abel, Jan K. Crystal Lowe as Tiffany.
she went
Louis,
by just Crystal Lowe. She was in, like, you've seen her a million times. She was in, like, Final Destination 3. She was one of the tanning girls.
oh, that's
She
right.
was
Okay,
in,
yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine. She was in, I think one of the, Cabin Fevers. She's been in a lot of stuff. She just went at some point, she went from Crystal Lowe to Yan K. Crystal Lowe.
Oh, okay. Louise Grant as Hattie Soames. So, when a girl named Jamie repeatedly tries to contact her grandmother to no avail, she investigates by going to her apartment in Omaha, Nebraska, only to find that it's been condemned and overtaken by possessed children. As she digs deeper, she discovers a dark secret about her grandmother and awakens a dark demonic force that wants Jamie dead and will stop at nothing. Yeah, I'll let you defend this one, Brian. I will give you, and I'll give you my afterwards. I'll give you my my take.
So I remember I had prefaced this, like I was saying, like this is the one that I remember fondly because I like it's one of these things where I remember I was like half asleep and I kind of woke up and put the TV on and discovered this movie. And like I said, I don't know, was it that I was like maybe half asleep and just like like so it hit me right and it had a creepy thing. Well, all those things that I kind of thought were still there. Like that I like there was something to me something about a creepy old apartment building already kind of wins me over because apartment buildings, if they're done right, are creepy. I like the fact, like the setting of this one, where it was like there was just some kind of unnerving element to where it seemed like it was a full functioning town, except like this apartment building was forgotten, and you could tell there was something sinister behind, so it kinda gave this uneasiness. I kinda like the Michael Ironside character, how he's just kinda like that creeping around, and to me, he always kinda makes movies better. So I kinda like the fact that he was there, and I like Claudette Mink, the lead. I thought it was interesting to see, like, some kind of, like I mean, here's, like, for the first time, you're getting some really, like you could tell she's some big city business, like, I guess she's a writer and big I do have one gripe, though. That building is condemned. How the heck is she sending emails in that thing? I guarantee you there was no Wi-Fi in that town. Back then,
There's
Wi-Fi
using her hot
was
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what she was using to send emails, but that's fine. I mean, there was no even there's not even a phone line in there. They actually make that a plot point at one point that she doesn't have the phone because remember she says, "Oh, how do you talk to your grandmother?" Oh, she gets the phone in the lobby. So what the
Oh,
heck
that's
is she
right.
so
Yeah,
I
what is
do
she
that
doing?
does bother me, and that's something I never noticed in the past, but while I'm watching it and critiquing it now, I've noticed that I'm like, "Who on earth is how is she getting internet in there?" That's my biggest thing. I mean, unless Big Corn, like, is hiding little, like, in internet cables in the stalks of corn. Um, and you know what it is? I thought I thought the kids were creepy, and I'll tell you why another reason why I think I like this movie because it did a little something that the other ones didn't do. Now, granted, there always is this there is obviously throughout the whole franchise, there's a supernatural element to these movies. This one, I think, just went full on, like, kind of like haunted house movie, but in an apartment at some level. Like these kids were like I mean, they were this supernatural force that was seemed to be different than the other movies where it's like these kids could appear and they'd have different things they could do that the other ones necessarily didn't do. Like they were all creepy kids all there together, but these kids could like almost like warp and then they could bring back the Abel character, which is creepy because he had, like, big shoulders and it just I don't know, something about this one hits me right because it had a decent enough creep factor in it, and I just kinda it had some other, like, characters that were enjoyable to me, like that weird, like, I guess that the stoned guy that's eating the corn he's, like, eating corn and it's all bleeding. It's just weird stuff. We got like the I don't know. It's something about this hit me right, and I just like I have this weird soft spot for it. I don't know what it is. And I will say Claudette Mink's sultry voice was very nice. I like that. Hearing, she had like a nice voice in it. But and plus any movie that has someone named Armbrister in it kind of is kind of funny.
Yeah,
I kind of
Armbruster's a
like
great
I
name.
like that name Armbrister because it appears in
Yeah.
other
Well,
movies. But I want to know why you hated it so much because you have
yeah,
it
well,
ranked.
mine was yeah, I don't know. I think this one, for the same reason yours hit you right, this one hit me wrong. Like when I was watching it, I was so bored by it. Like I would barely get through it. Was it just a bad day for me? I don't know. Maybe it's just a bad day. Maybe I was just burned out on Children of the Corn movies and I just was wanting to get it over with. For some reason, I just found it so dull. Now, I will give you the things I liked about it, I really liked. Like, I thought the kids were super creepy for
Yeah.
once. Like, it's the first time almost since the first one that the kids are actually creepy.
Yeah, like
Like, I
all of
love the
them,
scene.
yeah.
Yeah, all of them. And I love the scene in the like the little grocery store where she gives them a quarter to play House of the Dead and they're like
Yeah.
shooting the things and they're like die 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 kill 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 or whatever. Like I love the kids in this one and you're right, it does kind of have a haunted house feel to it. Like the whole town feels creepy. Even the grocery store seemed creepy. Like it had that weird
Yeah.
lighting. So I did like that part of it, but something about this one, I don't know. Maybe again, like maybe I was just having a bad day. Maybe I need to rewatch it, but to me, it was dull. It dragged and dragged and dragged, and I just could not get past that. And like I said before, if the movie's boring, that kills it worse than anything for me. And this one, I just did not find interesting. Now there's like you said, there's a lot of things it does better than previous entries. Like definitely the performances are better. I feel like maybe probably the script was better. The kids were definitely creepier and better. But, I don't know, this one like, the pace or something was off for me, and I think it just struck me wrong when I watched it the day I watched it.
Yeah,
It's
and that's what I was gonna say. Remember how I was criticizing the Fields of Terror, how it was all erratic? This one kinda had that feel too, but in a way where to me, it worked for it a little bit because the erraticness of it made it like fed into the uneasiness of it,
Yeah, I just
which is
didn't. And this is a common complaint I have with a lot of these movies is the constant dream sequence stuff. And there was a lot of that in there, and I don't know, it just turns me off when there's like a constant flashback dream sequence, like jump scare stuff. And
yeah,
there just seemed to be a lot of that in this one, and it didn't work for me for some reason. And I get again, like I said, if I watch this again, it might strike me different, and I don't have the nostalgia factor for like waking up to it at some point that you do. But I don't know, I found it boring. But it's going to be hard when I go back through these rankings because every one of these films has something I liked about it, and every
yeah,
one of these films has something I really disliked about it. And I will say, after going through Hellraiser franchise, I don't think any of these movies are as bad as the
no,
Hellraiser franchise.
some of the
I
yeah,
I was expecting the worst of the worst with this, and I don't think any of these movies are like unwatchable. Like
no.
Hellraiser, I felt like some of those movies were literally unwatchable.
Yeah,
And I
what was the
never
one?
came
Was it Deader? The one there was one in there, remember, where they flat out said that it was just another script altogether, and they just threw in,
and they
like,
threw the cinematics
Pinhead?
in the last 2 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I've actually been pleasantly surprised by this series so far. It's not been as bad as I thought it was going to be. And even these three, which are arguably the worst that we've run across so far, to some extent, like the worst batch, maybe I should say. I don't know, I can't say that because we did go through the two remakes um when we did the first one. So we did a little things kind of a little bit out of order. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is the point where I feel like the series started going downhill if you're just looking at the one through whatever and not counting the remakes. So yeah, I mean, overall, I wasn't, I was kind of surprised. I was actually say I was surprised at that I didn't dislike these more than I did. And so even when we come out with the rankings, even the ones at the bottom so far, it's not that I thought these were unwatchable or so bad that I would never watch them again or anything like that. Like even Revelation, which right now I've got at the bottom of my list, is a far better movie than a lot of stuff I've watched. I mean, especially like for the
Yeah.
horror challenge and some of the crap we've watched. I mean, this is not like a normal person who doesn't watch but so many horror movies a year might look at this and go, "Oh my god, that's the worst horror movie I've ever seen." Not by a long
Right, they'll be
shot.
like, "What are
Like
you
for
watching?"
somebody that watches hundreds, yeah, if you watch 100, 200 horror movies a year, this is like high cinema compared to some of those. So this franchise, yeah, it's definitely much better than I thought it was going to.
Now, here's a factor, which I know we've mentioned before, especially on these longer series. There's also a fatigue factor that kind of comes into play. Yeah, I'm not sure that it's, and I'm not trying to convince you out of your rankings and how your feelings. I would never do that ever. Everyone has their opinion, but I'm wondering if, like, since and I had seen Revelation before. For me, it was a rewatch. So it's
Right,
like I was
right, yeah.
familiar with, I knew it was coming. But here now you've watched all these in a row, and now you're getting to this. It's like I wonder if there's some kind of fatigue. Like I might have had that fatigue with the with, I mean, Isaac's Return possibly if I didn't like that Isaac came back, but I definitely probably had it with the Fields of Terror one, and because I had
Yeah.
never seen that one before, and now I'm like, I'm like, "All right, now this is like, how many have we seen these already?" I'm kinda getting, and partly also I'm like, "Oh, I just wanna get to I'm excited for Isaac's Return because I never saw that and I wanna see it, and I my f wanna I had the soft spot for Revelations. I was looking forward to that. So like I kind of mentally might have went into Fields of Terror just like I just want to get this one over with. So there is it has to be taken into consideration when you watch so many of the a franchise in a bunch like this. It's
Oh, no,
hard.
I completely agree, and especially on our schedule, we were having to watch these before we record. When I originally watched this batch, I was planning on recording on Monday. So knew that I had to be done by the end of Monday. So when by the time I watched Revelation, it was Monday, and I had to watch that movie that day to get it. This is before we had decided, to shift our
Yeah.
recording schedule a little bit. So in my mind, I was like, I've got to get this movie in. And when you're under pressure to watch something, you're not going to get the premium experience out of it. There's already going to be a negative connotation in your mind because it's more like work than pleasure. And I do feel like that colored some of my thoughts about Revelation because I was trying to cram it in at the last minute. And that's not, that's not ideal, but sometimes it's the reality when you're having to watch 11
Yeah.
films for a podcast. Sometimes the reality is sometimes you have to just cram these, and it's not under the best circumstances, and sometimes it's not in the best screening format. Sometimes you're watching the freaking thing on your phone if you have to. And
Yeah.
that's not completely fair, but at the same time, what do our rankings mean? I mean, they're not official. They don't do
Yeah.
anything. There's nobody
It's
making
not like anyone's
money
getting
or
royalties. Yeah.
royalty. I mean, it's a for fun ranking, and we've always said that our rankings are subject to change at any time. I mean, we've always said that, and they have when we've revisited stuff. We've come back and changed them. I think before. So the rankings are meaningless. Uh, They're they're personal to everybody, and I think everybody has the right to defend them the way they want to. I'm sure there's somebody out there that thinks Children of the Corn 5 is their favorite one of the entire franchise. There's got to be. So I don't want to criticize anybody's ability to rank, but I like being upfront and honest about why our rankings might differ and why they might uh, be skewed by just the reality of having to watch so many in a row.
Yeah. Can
And
you imagine we broke this up into 2 weeks like we do for most franchises?
I
There's no way
know
we could have
it'd have
done
been
that.
even worse. Yeah, it'd have been even
Yeah.
worse. So I mean, next week's going to be relaxed because we're only having to watch two.
Yeah, and
We
what
only
we
have
decided we might put that bonus one in, that bonus short of like 20
Which was
minutes that
yeah, which I
yeah.
don't want to get ahead of myself, but that bonus short is worth watching. It's on YouTube. It's called Disciples of the Crow. And it was actually filmed in 1983 before the first movie came
Oh,
out. This was the first adaptation. And I'm not used to seeing shorts from 1983, which is what made this
yeah.
one so creepy because I'm like, oh, it's a 20-minute short. Assumed in my mind it was like something from the 90s. What I didn't realize that it was actually the first adaptation, and it has that grittiness and that creepiness to it of an old movie shot on like 16 millimeter or something, like just not not modern at all, and it has that inherent creepiness to it, which really adds to it. I can't wait
Mm,
to talk about that one, but yeah, we are going
yeah,
to throw that one in there as
yeah,
a bonus.
yeah, and I don't think we're gonna we're not it's not gonna be in the rankings. It's not gonna
No,
count
no,
as
no.
a ranking,
i
just
see
it's
some
more for
people
fun.
I see some people do put it in the rankings, but I don't consider that. Like, if it was in the rankings, I will tell you, for me it would be in my top 3.
Wow. Oh, now I definitely
That's
wanna
how
watch
good
that.
it is. It really is good, but it would definitely be in my top 3. But yeah, so look forward to that. But yeah, next week we are going to do. Oh my god, I even lost the freaking name of the thing. We're gonna do
I think one
Children of
is
the
Runaway and
Yeah,
Genesis, I think, right?
Genesis is the first one. Genesis came out in
Okay.
2011, and then there was another 7-year gap before Children of the Corn Runaway in 2018. And I mean, these things are, about this point, it's like they're just, obviously they weren't doing the one every couple years thing to keep the rights thing going. This was just somebody coming back and revisiting. I think so. Dimension did Genesis, and then Lionsgate picks up Runaway. So it went from Dimension, which Dimension had for most of its run. This one, Genesis came out from Dimension Extreme, which was an arm of Dimension. But yeah, so Lionsgate kind of revised it, and then with the remake uh, from 2009, that was done by Fox, and then the 2021, of course, was RLJE Films and Shutter. So this thing's bounced all over the place between different distributors and stuff. But yeah, we'll go through those two and the short next week. Yeah, this one, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting series to do our final rankings. I can't wait to talk about them because I think things are going to shuffle around a lot. Although I
Yeah.
don't expect these last two films to really bump things around too much. I think they're going to land near the bottom. What's going to be interesting to me is to see if I just go back and revisit some of the other ones so far and kind of shuffle those around.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, I can't imagine them not like. I mean, I think my first three are the only ones I can say for sure are 100% locks. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
There's
Me
not
too.
there those are not changing. After that though, everything could be open. This could, for all we know, one of these out of here could be like some hidden gem. You never know. You never know with these things.
Yeah, I never
So
thought Children of the Corn 3 would be one of my favorites of the entire series. My
yeah,
second
especially with the
favorite of the entire
title "Urban Harvest," you're like, "Oh God, what the hell?"
Yeah. I mean, it should have been so bad, but, yeah.
I will say though, they have not gone to space yet, as far as we know, and they have not
No,
really go even though they could half of these could have been titled Bloodlines, they did not go there. Um,
that's right, yeah. Bloodlines is a
although
tough.
we have to kinda respect that title since Final Destination, so,
Yeah, they kind of took the
they kinda gave
mark
credit to
off
that. Yeah,
the
they and that one
title.
because I think one of the reasons is that title fit it well. It was a good title,
It actually made
and
sense, it just wasn't a
and it made
title.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the movie was so good, it lived up to it, so I can't I can't, like, criticize their choice of Bloodline, so
yeah. I am looking forward to, uh as fun as the summer Slaycation is, I think I am looking forward to getting back to interviews
yeah.
and more normal format, because I know we kind of suspend our normal format for a while we're doing the summer Slaycation.
Yeah,
Um,
because we have some guests that were lined up that we were trying to fit in here, and I don't know when we're gonna get them in right away. We're trying to get them, and we might have some other interviews lined up in there, and then, I mean, what's crazy to think is literally right when this is done, we're on like the cusp of haunt season already because
I know it's crazy.
I
We
mean,
we
like
may
Aug yeah,
we may end up having to squeeze an interview or something in between
yeah,
some of these summer Slaycation videos, or we may just do it as a bonus. I don't know. We'll have to see, but just kind of keep an eye on for social media. And I know we've kind of released on Friday, as you're hearing this a couple of times, instead of our normal Wednesday, but that's just due to, again, with these having to watch multiple movies. Sometimes it throws the recording schedule off a little bit versus
yeah.
normal weeks where we're just
Plus
having to watch one movie.
Yeah,
Plus,
plus summer gets tricky with travel and food. I have like a trip next week and then the week 2 weeks after that. So there's definitely some housekeeping in terms of scheduling. We have to, I mean, I did make a tentative schedule at least, and it seemed to fit us and it has us well done before Labor Day. Like, unlike that one year. Oh my God. What was it? Was that the Universal Monster year? What was the one we
yeah.
barely finished in
Oh my
time?
god, that was terrible. Yeah, we were almost heading into October before we finished our summer Slaycation, but
What was the reason? Was it because it was out the summer I moved out to California
I think so.
when that
Yeah,
caused
yeah.
that? Yeah,
Yeah, it was, yeah, and we were just being I mean, I think we were being a little bit slack, to be quite honest. Like, I think we were just like,
probably.
so yeah, so if you guys, we're not always great at pre announcing it on our social media, but if you guys ever see like an episode doesn't drop on Wednesday, you could pretty much be assured it's going to drop, Thursday or Friday. Like, we're trying to get one out every week because we are trying to keep the summer Slaycation on schedule. So yeah, if you don't hear from us on socials, just keep in mind it's going to be released at some point that week. And in fact, this episode, we barely got in under the wire, but we made sure we
Yeah.
got it in this week.
And it may be Friday afternoon you get but by the time you're listening to but it will be Friday when you're listening to this. So,
Yeah, yeah, we'll get it. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we are looking forward to wrapping up Children of the Corn next week and moving into our next franchise. So that should be fun.
yes, and then remember just be careful of Big Corn.
Big Corn's rough, man. Like, you don't want
They
to mess with
are.
Big Corn.
No, and the Big
There's a
Corn is out there.
there's a pun there, and I'm struggling to come up with it quickly
I
enough. I
know.
can't. I can't.
I
We've
get
already
yeah, I
we've
know.
gone
It's
through
like on the
Maze. We've gone through Stalk, probably.
yeah. Well, did you see someone wrote to us on Blue Sky? They wrote, something about a kernel. They said, "Oh, you got a kernel of truth in there," or something like that. They
Yeah,
said.
yeah. I don't.
So
Well, I'll be more prepared next time with my corn puns. Sorry, guys.
yeah, you figured this would people. I figured by now this is our third episode of the franchise. We should have had like 5 million of them. We're either off our game
I don't know.
or Big Corn is controlling us remotely somehow. I don't know.
Somehow, I don't know. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah.